Let me welcome you, my dear students. This is our fifth learning session of 14th to 19th century poetry with MA English second semester. My dear students, if you remember what we did last time, we tried to learn the Chaucer as a representative of 14th century. We tried to learn the humor and realism in the Canterbury Tale. So my dear students, it was about the previous lecture. Now we are going to discuss the outline. That today we will discuss the introduction to Edmund Spenser and Renaissance to Reformation and a pastoral poetry. We are also going to discuss or read the textual analysis or the text of the Faerie Queen. So dear students, let's discuss the biography or introduction of the Edmund Spenser. So dear students, Edmund Spenser was born in 1552 in London. He is considered one of the premier craftsmen of modern English verse. In 1569, Spenser published his first work, anonymous translations, mainly of patriarch sonnets. In 1579, first publicly released poetic work, means he first publicly released a poetic work, The Shepherd Calendar. In 1580, Spenser was sent to Ireland to hold English property on the oft-rebellious island, where he met Elizabeth Ball, his future wife. So my dear students, here he met his future wife and sued to win her hand in marriage is recorded in Amroti. The marriage itself was celebrated in Epithalamion. And we can simply say that in 1599 he travelled to London, where he died on January 13, 1599 at the age of 46 and buried in Westminster Abbey. There are words on his tomb, the Prince of Poets. So this was about the Edmund Spenser. Now we are going to discuss the published work of the Edmund Spenser, that he published The Shepherd Calendar in 1579, The Faerie Queen 1589 to 1596 and Epithalamion in 1595, while Prothalamion in 1596. So it was about his work. Now we are going to discuss the Renaissance, means the Renaissance to Reformation. So my dear students, the word Renaissance, it literally meaning the rebirth. We can simply say that it is a French word which means rebirth. And the Renaissance was the time the great creativity and change in many areas like economic, political, social and above all cultural. Renaissance period is divided into three stages. We can simply say that the three stages that are early Renaissance, it is between 13th to 14th century, high Renaissance it is in 15th century, while in late Renaissance, that is in 16th century. So my dear students, the term Renaissance was first used by the French historian Jules Michelet. Renaissance started in the late 13th century Florence. It started with the writing of Dante, and we can simply say that in 15th century the Renaissance spread from Florence to Italy and later in Europe. At that time period, we can simply say that the Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press. It was talk about the Renaissance. If we talk about the Renaissance, it is the age of reasoning, and its characteristics are humanism, free thought, science, music, self-awareness. Because of all of, we can say that the Constantinople, or we can say that the capital of Byzantine Empire in 1453. So my dear students, let's discuss that during the Renaissance, Christians from the level of society grew impatient with the corruption of the clergy and the worldliness of the Roman Catholic Church in words of one unhappy peasant. Instead of saving the soul of the dead and sending them to the heaven, the clergy, we can say that the George themselves at banquet after funerals. They are wicked, we can say the wicked wolves. They would like to devour us all dead or alive. So my dear students, Protestants again the church continued to grow. In 1517, these protests erupted into a full-scale revolt. The man who triggered the revolt was a German monk and professor of theology named Martin Luther. He created 95 theses and posted on door. In the wake of Luther's revolt against the church, other reformers challenged church authority. The most important was the John Calvin, who lived in what is today Switzerland. Calvin had a razor shepherd, or we can say that the laser sharp mind, and his ideas had a profound effect of the direction of the Protestant Reformation. So we can say that this is the Renaissance Reformation. Like we can say simply that, my dear student, let me discuss that Chaucer was a poet. Chaucer was a poet of late 14th century. Like Chaucer, Spenser was the poet of the late 16th century. In his work, he was completely and effectively captured the spirit of the age. The late 16th century was a period of known approximately as that of the, we can say, efflorescence of the Renaissance in England. Simultaneously, it was the age when England came under the full impact of the Reformation, which has started in the early part of the 16th century. In the age of Spenser, we can say that the spirit of the Renaissance as also the Reformation was abroad, and nobody could keep himself we can say the untextured by it, means nobody can save it from the impact of the Renaissance and Reformation, the both. Then Spenser's work are imbued with these twin spirit. So we can say that it is the Spenser, like Shakespeare, represents a bridge between the medieval and early modern period in English literary history, or we can say that he is a bridge between Renaissance to Reformation. So this is about the Renaissance to Reformation. Now we are going to discuss the pastoral poetry. So let's discuss what is pastoral. Pastoral from pastor means it is a Latin word that is used for the shepherd, and it refers to a literary work dealing with shepherd and rustic life. It presents an idealized rather than realistic view of rustic life. So common topic of pastoral poetry include love and seduce, means seduction. The value of the poetry, death and mourning, the corruption of the city or court versus the purity of idealized country life, politics, generally treated satirically. The shepherd critiques society or easily identifiable political figures. So this is about the pastoral poetry. Now we are going to discuss about the Faerie Queen. So my dear students, Faerie Queen is an epic poem, and we can simply say that it is one of the longest poems in the English language. Initially, it has 12 books but published only 6. We can say that the characters have a specific symbolic meaning in it, and it is written in Spenserian stanzas. So dear students, let me tell you that there are 3 layers of the meaning: the story, the metaphor based on religion, and the metaphor based on the politics. So we are going to discuss about it, that the Faerie Queen. Let me discuss that. He uses 9 long stanzas. This is known as Spenserian stanza. Moreover, we look at the last word of the line, that is the mask, weed, task, read, deed, long, a reed, and throng and song. So if we talk about that, the first word of that means the last word of the first line, that is a mask. The next word is weed. If we try to find out the rhyming scheme, mask does not rhyme with the weed. If we talk about the mask, and if we use a single word, that is for the recognition of this, the mask, we can simply say that we are using the alphabet A for it. So if we talk about that, mask will be A, as weed does not rhyme with the mask, so it is the B. As task is rhymed with mask, so it is again A. Read rhymed with weed, so it is B. And if we talk about the long, it is not rhymed with the mask or weed, so it is an other word, that so we use the word C for the recognition of this word. So we can say that it is C, as we say that a reed is rhymed with the word weed, so we can say that it is B. If we talk about the mask, it is A, weed B, task A, read B. So A, B, then deeds again B. Long is totally different from it, so it is C. So we can say that B, A, B, C. So a read again with deed, so it is B, C. Again it means throng is rhymed with the long, so it is C, and song again with the rhymed with the long, so it is C. So we can simply say that the rhyming scheme that is used in it, it is A, B, B, C, B, C, again C. So the rhyming scheme is A, B, C, B, C, C. If we look at the layout, that he has written a Spenserian stanza. Each stanza consists of 9 lines. First 8 lines are written in iambic pentameter. If we talk about the pentameter, that a meter is a meter in which there are 5 feet. The first unstressed and the second is stressed syllable. So we can say that the feet refers to the pair of syllable. So if we go back to the rhyming scheme, if we go back to the iambic pentameter, we can say that there are 10 syllables in iambic pentameter. And if we talk about the 9th line, like if we talk about that, the first 8 lines are written in iambic pentameter, while the 9th line is written in Alexandrine. We can say that the Alexandrine style, that having 12 syllables. So rhyming scheme is A, B, C, C. The last line has a particular purpose to written in Alexandrine or Alexandric style. So we can say that because it is the concluding line, so it is the concluding one, so it means that it is very important line also. So now we are going to discuss that the text. If we talk about, or if we begin with the text of the Faerie Queen, that is in written book 1 canto 1. Let me discuss that the book 1 has only 1 canto. Means it is in 1 canto it is included only one canto, and it consists of 54 stanzas, and before that there is an invocation to amuse that consists of 4 more stanzas. So if we talk about Lo I the Man, So here the poet addressed the reader that I, the man, means who muse here the muse is the goddess. Vilom did mask means whose goddess has disguised herself. As time her thought in lowly shepherd weeds. So in lovely shepherd weeds, weed means clothes. Here he want to explain that the shepherd is a person, and it is a reference to his earliest poem that he had written earliest, the shepherd calendar. Means he talked about his important work, or he is talking about the notable work of his writing. So he talked about that he has written a notable work, and that was a pastoral poetry. So he says that I am the one, means he is addressing to the reader, that he tells the reader that I am the one who wrote the shepherd calendar. So he talks about that I am the one who has written the shepherd calendar, that I am the one who has written the pastoral poetry. He mentioned clearly that I am the one who mused has disguised in herself in shepherd dress or cloth. Now in this line that am now enforced a far unfitter task. So he says that I undertake a task I have taken to go for writing something for which I am unfit. For trumpet's strength to change mine autumn reed. So autumn reed is the musical instrument of the shepherd. He says that instead of this, I want to replace the autumn reed with the trumpet, because trumpet is used by knights as a symbol of bravery, as a symbol of glory. Before I wrote a pastoral poetry, he says that before I wrote a pastoral poetry, now I am going to write about a glory thing. Now I am going to write about a bravery, things about bravery, and I am feeling that I am considering myself that I am not fit for it. And sing of knight and ladies' gentle deeds. He wanted to discuss the bravery of knight and ladies. I want to discuss something elevated, something very great. So my dear students, he says that whose prayers have slept in silence long. It means that nobody has praised their greatness and extraordinariness. Means although they are very great and extraordinary, but nobody talked about it. That it has been such a silence, such a long time that nobody talked about it. All to mean the sacred muse read. It tells about that the holy goddess or muse advised me to blazon board amongst her learned throng. So to talk about these stories means he is telling that it is the goddess who is advising who is advising him to talk about these things or write about these things. So to talk about these things, the fires, war and faithful loves shall moralize my song. So he says that she has advised me and she has supported me to talk about such things, about the heroic qualities of the soldiers and ladies. So my poetry, my songs will be considered with the fires, war and faithful loves. So this will be the theme of or subject matter of my poetry. So he is talking about that before I wrote a shepherd calendar, but now as he is talking about that a goddess is advising me to talk about these things. Means goddess is asking to write about the glory and talk about the bravery of the knight and ladies, and wrote about these things because it is a long time that nobody has discussed or praised about him, about these things. Means nobody praise about it, so it is you who can write it. But he is telling that I am feeling myself as unfit for it, but I'm trying to do so. So this is about the Faerie Queen. Now we are going to discuss that. Means we can simply say that I'm taking a quick review that today we have discussed Introduction to Edmund Spenser and Renaissance to Reformation, Pastoral Poetry, and the textual reading of the Faerie Queen. So this is about our today's lecture. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.